hear some cheers for Bay Area Falcons? Can I hear a cheer for fun? How about a cheer for women in sport? Excellent, excellent. I will be relying on you all to bring up the entries, help BD, help with the team, and we'll have a good day today.
Hello, frisbee fans. Welcome to the 2025 championship hosted by the Bay Area Falcons. Today's championship game is the Super Blue and Bay Area Falcons. Please give a warm welcome to San Diego Super Blue. Number 0, Argo. 4, Student. 5, Emma Hilton.
Championship weekend 2025 in the Western Ultimate League has led to this moment, the final between San Diego Super Bloom and the Bay Area Falcons. Who will take home the trophy? As the teams line up, we're getting ready to see who has the energy to get there. I am Katie Killebrew, joined by Charlie Mercer. Either way, we're going to be crowning a new champion in the Western Ultimate League. Will it be number 2 seed San Diego Super Bloom, who has been in the final before but never won, or the hometown host Bay Area Falcons in their first final in program history? Charlie, what are you looking forward to in this final?
I'm looking forward to teams that have not played each other so far this year. I'm looking forward to MVP Kayla Helton getting to leave her mark on this game. I'm looking forward to so much heart, so much incredible coaching and growth throughout the course of these seasons that both of these teams have demonstrated as they have been building up with the full depth of their roster, showcasing all of those tactical, strategic, and skill adjustments that they have been making this year and leaving it all out on the field.
We'll see what they do. Can they leave it out on the field? Who will be the champion? Don't go anywhere, because the Bay is going to have something to say. The Bay Area Falcons are taking the field in front of their home crowd, trying to make this championship weekend theirs. This is how we got there. San Diego Super Bloom taking down Seattle Tempest in the first semifinal, winning by 1, and Colorado Alpenglow falling to Bay, the number 1 seed falling to the number 4 seed in emphatic fashion in the second semifinal. San Diego, what a game they played. Looking at this roster, Charlie, what stands out to you about that semifinal yesterday that you're looking to take into today?
the stats from yesterday were much more evenly distributed amongst the Super Boom players than they have been thus far in the regular season, with a couple of exceptions. Rebecca Ellis yesterday had 3 goals, 1 assist, and 2 blocks on 1.5 turns, and Dina Elimelech had 3 goals, 2 assists, and 0 turns on the day. But that roster, the whole roster was contributing to their victory yesterday, and they are hoping to take that energy into this game today.
The Bay Area Falcons also played a great game last night under the lights. Who's really stood out to you from that game?
We were talking about it yesterday, but Melina Wiebe had 6 goals in the last regular season game and had 5 goals yesterday. Robin Fennig, 3 goals and 3 assists with only 1 turnover. Han Chen had a season high in goals with 4 during the last regular season game and 4 again yesterday, with only 5 turnovers between the 2 games, which is incredible given the huge number of touches that Han Chen has. And Talia Ward had 4 assists yesterday.
Really even contribution from all over the field. Talking with Coach Manisha Dariani as we see the captains hugging and greeting before they flip the coin to see what's going to happen. This way, Manisha Dariani was talking about figuring out what this line was going to be like and how important it is to pay attention to timing and observers and everything else in this league. The rules for the WUL, Charlie, make a big impact on the game.
The field is a little bit longer than it is in a standard ultimate field, and by having that 80-yard field, there's more of an emphasis on these big, high, floaty pulls to have the defense be able to get down there. There's more space to air out those hucks to make that long game more challenging. Being able to call timeouts and sub your whole line in, those can be used strategically. Being able to have the pre-snap movement after a stoppage of play, when you're coming in on the stall, that allows the pace of the game to continue moving faster. When quarters end, whoever is in possession of the disc gets to complete their possession rather than having a buzzer beater situation, and so that it allows for, points to be almost stolen in that regard. There are so many rules.
Exactly. I think that the time that you were talking about made such a difference. We saw it in the first semifinal. 1 second being left on the clock by Colorado in the first quarter. Seattle converted that. And then 1 second on the other side, turning it over before time expired, giving another possession going the other direction. It really matters, that clock management at the end of a quarter. This championship weekend has been hosted by the Bay Area Falcons. It's been a great event, as you can see the fans coming into the field. But a notable stat in the Western Ultimate League is for the last 2 showings, the champion has won at home. The home field advantage has played a really strong game, and if the first final that Bay Area Falcons play is in front of a home crowd, stats say that it's going to favor that team. So as we can see the fans coming in, it's a good day to be a Bay Area fan.
Well, and I think if we think back to last year, Bay Area was here against San Diego in the 3rd place game in Colorado. And so in that showing, San Diego did best the Bay Area Falcons 17-15. It was a nail biter of a game. It was close. Both teams were laying it out on the line. And that's the last time that these teams have played each other. And so we are 1 year later, and they are facing off again. And this time, each having won their respective semifinals, they get to do it with all the chips on the table.
It's definitely an exciting moment. These teams had hoped to meet in the final in Colorado last year, but Colorado and Utah respectively spoiled their hopes. Colorado taking the championship as Kayla Helton pulls the first point of this championship game. It's all going to have to be left on the field today. Bay Area starting on offense, going upfield. Robin Fennig, an addition to this team with a disc in the middle of the field. Zalk and Volbrecht. Fennig looking, feeling out this San Diego flat mark. Fennig continuing to retain possession, looking, you can see really trying to connect in the deep space. But the defenders from Super Bloom are there. A discussion happening on the mark between Zettner and Zolk.
As we get into this stoppage, as they're discussing, let's think about the keys to the game for each of these programs. So for San Diego, their keys to the game today, we're thinking about their defensive pressure, offensive efficiency, where they want to be, can they be adaptable to the wind conditions, and they want to be playing their game.
Wynn and Volbrecht getting it up to Fenig. Continuing to move the disc, change the point of attack. They're not able to get very many yards at the same time. Just gaining yards and losing yards right around that 40-yard mark. Still on their own side. It's good patience, but Helton almost got a hand on that. Wiebe back to Ward. Volbrecht to Carnahan. Up from Carnahan, looking for Wiebe in the deep space, guarded by Avery Jones. Wiebe gets it, not in the end zone. Up and floating, no trouble for Jacqueline Wynn. So many throws to hold for that one, Charlie.
I think San Diego is making good on their commitment to have tight defensive pressure. They made the Bay take so many throws to complete that. It was great work from Wiebe to be able to pass that off to Nguyen in the end zone there.
Honestly, a little bit floatier than I thought necessary. Maybe that upwind end zone. It's a little bit windy, just like it was yesterday, maybe slightly different directionally. Players talking about how it wasn't quite as difficult to throw the flick upfield, but that one's certainly elevated, and now we're going to get our first look at this San Diego offensive line as they take on the challenge of going upwind with Rebecca Ellis now in the middle of the field.
And something to be looking for that the Bay is trying to do as one of their keys is they're trying to frustrate the pull plays. So keep an eye here on their success in doing that. The Bay is also looking to generate turnovers and maintain their offensive efficiency as their keys to the game. But are they going to be successful in disrupting these initial pull plays?
Rutland and Pajunas back to Ellis. And Iwamoto, they're moving much more quickly up the field. Ellis, the forehand into the space, but too short for intended receiver Meredith Bile. Han Chen picking up this defensive line, was so efficient yesterday. We'll see how they come out today. Munson working with Eliza Pugh. Inside to Morgan Greenwood. Olivia Goss. In the reset space, what a snag from Pugh, almost behind against the momentum of play. Munson thinking about it, getting it to Han Chen. Breaking the mark upfield, laying out is Greenwood. Unsure if there is a foul being called on the mark. You can see Rebecca Ellis with hands on hips thinking about it, but it looks like foul, no contest, so the disc is going to come back to Han Chen with a fresh stall count because the throw was not completed.
The changeover of Han Chen from the O-line earlier in the season to putting Han Chen on the D-line has made a really big difference for the Bay in their ability to convert on these break opportunities. You can really see here how Han Chen is trying to quarterback that offense, was getting the disc almost every other until that unfortunate turnover.
Looking at the turf burn as Iwamoto and Walter try to move it back and forth. Inside to Rutland. Rutland was on the reserve list yesterday but was kept fresh for this game. Walter trying to get it to the break side to Iwamoto, leading those handler movements. The Bay Area defenders are switching to try to stop the handler motion, that throw and go that has been the engine of a lot of San Diego's offensive possession. Pajunas inside Rutland. Gives it up. 2 turns for San Diego. Pugh upfield to Goss. Past the bidding Weaver. Greenwood. And Munson to Chen. Chen looks at Goss, who's coming across the field, thinking maybe wanting to get a little more yards. Thrown behind Pugh again, who manages to get it. The hands of Eliza Pugh keeping the Bay Area's break possession alive, and it's Han Chen in the end zone from Morgan Greenwood. The Bay is up 2-0.
It was not a clean series of offensive possessions for the Bay, but they were able to get it done. The Bay is continuing to have success using the break side of the field. They're one of the teams that had the most number of break throws during the regular season. You can see that ability still being a hallmark of their success in this postseason.
Support from the fans can mean so much to these players. It's really a special opportunity to get to play at this level in front of your friends and family. It's been an amazing championship weekend, and at 2-0, you have to think that it feels good for the Bay. We have so much still to play. Pole going up. Looks like it's going to land out of bounds, so should be centered. Kelly Iwamoto on the field again. Although San Diego has been one of the teams that really rotates through their players on offense, they are allowing other players to stay fresh as we see this pole plane going up. Nissen upfield to Elimelech. Schultz. And Nissen, UC San Diego teammates. Mika Leslie pivoting towards this downwind end zone, up and over the field. It's Elimelech skying the pack. Great grab and hold for Superbloom.
Elimelech is tied for 3rd in the WUL postseason records book for the most goals scored in a singular postseason game at 5, which Elimelech earned in 2003, and is tied for that honor with Lexi Zulk, who earned it in 2004, a Bay Area competitor. And I think that is just the first of the goals that we're going to see from Elimelech tonight.
Well, the thing that I also really loved about that is McKinley McQuaid and Georgia Cordosa, the two standout defenders for Bay, were on either side, but both went up cleanly and safely around Elimelech. But Elimelech at 6 foot was able to get a hand on that one first. So as we see these teams adjusting to the personnel, I think we're going to see more blocks coming out. Right now, it still feels like these teams are feeling each other out.
I think they're also feeling the game out and feeling the circumstances, right? Like, every game is a little bit different. It's not just about like the wind. It's about your opponent. It's about what you're playing for. It's about who's rostered that day. It's about your like coaching strategy for that moment. And so all of those circumstances make every game situation unique and special. And so you need to use the beginning of the game to figure out like, okay, what's going to work today, because it may not be what worked yesterday or what will work tomorrow.
Volbrecht with the disc after a pick. A hand. Yu Ishii is such a terrifying mark. Gets a hand on it, but doesn't end up with a turn.
Did you know that Yu Ishii is a pop star? You can listen to her on Spotify?
I did know this, but I love that more of the world is discovering what a joy Yu Ishii is. Ward and Volbrecht working together. Talia Ward inside to win. Back to Ward. Ward on the sideline. The pivots, finding that space, and the block from Jones. No receiver in space. I think that was a high stall turnover from the Bay. Weaver. Guarded by Wynn. And Jones. A block from Khalees Cardenas.
I appreciate that Cardenas walks away. Sometimes when she gets a block, she has the urge to go pick up the disc and do something, and is always better as a receiver when she's a little bit more calm and composed instead of having that, like, the adrenaline and endorphins running through your system after you've just gotten the block.
Amanda Maru resetting to Ward. Ward upfield for Fenig, guarded by Kristen Pajunas. That's a fun matchup. Two stalwart defenders. Fenig throws to the far side. Unsure, Cardenas was unsure if it was intended for her. Both she and Wynn hesitated and give the disc back to San Diego for this break opportunity. Pajunas upfield for Zettner. Zettner in the middle to Peden, leading Jones. Upfield for Tori Gray. No one else upfield as the Cutters slowly matriculate up. And the coaches elect to call a timeout there for Tori Gray. No one else was in the space, and with a 7-second stall count, it's important with this break chance to preserve possession.
Well, after starting the game down 2-0 in an upwind, downwind game, like, this is an opportunity. And if your team is tired from those multiple turns earlier in the point, they're not pushing downfield, it does create a lot of stagnation. And there is that the sluggishness. So I think that is a strong timeout call to continue rotating through lines. Something that really struck me when looking at these teams is the role distribution distinction between the two teams. And so because San Diego is rotating through their three lines, all of their players are playing offense and defense. And there are very few players that are playing one significantly more than the other. In contrast, we know that the Bay Area is really, they have pretty firmly set players that play on offensive lines and players that play on defensive lines. And there have been some notable switches during the course of the season as they've been tinkering for what groups of players work. But in general, it has, they are two different strategies and two different styles.
Strong line being called for San Diego. Schiltz and Jones now to Weaver on the far side. The flat marks of the Bay Area Falcons trying to limit that upfield movement, throwing and going. Ellis with the disc now back to Helton, but Munson almost gets her hand in the cookie jar, but it is Jones to Ellen Malik. This UC San Diego National Championship winning teammates connect again. Break for San Diego Super Bloom, bringing it back to twos.
This San Diego Super Bloom, they have been trying to grow the depth of their roster over the course of the WUL seasons. They have been known for having this top-heavy roster. If you look at the WUL record book, it is Dina Elimelech, Kayla Helton, Kristen Pajunas, Kelly Iwamoto, just utterly everywhere, all over this record book, particularly in the postseason. And so we have this really strong core, and you can see that from the numbers. But it is the addition of these new players that are stepping up into roles, right? Rebecca Ellis was a big contributor moving the disc there. Avery Jones throwing the goal. It is those new players that are taking on these big roles that is allowing that three-line system to be effective and make a difference for the Super Bloom team right now.
Bay Area on offense. Talia Ward giving it back to Fenig. Faking out Ellis, who takes the field again. A strong D-line called. A lot of players crossing over to this possession to try to get a break. They thread it through to Zalk. A minute and a half on the clock.
San Diego still playing 15 to 20% of their possessions in a zone defense.
Maru upfield to Zalk. Zalk being marked for the around by Pajunas going upfield. I saw a stall signaled, but it won't necessarily. We'll see if the stall was called, but it's a turnover either way. Helton is going to take it right there. Going the other direction, just a minute on the clock. Big throw from Pajunas. Jessica won the receiver. Helton is already in pursuit. Walter, the speedy Bile going to the open side, resetting to Iwamoto. Tries to break the mark to one, but the defense of Bay is really limiting the angles with those marks far away from the throwers. Helton gets it. Up and into the corner. Bidding is Pajunas, but turned. 27 seconds on the clock. And a reminder, once the clock runs out, whoever is in possession of the disc at that moment can finish that possession.
Thinking about where they are in the field, they are deep in their own end zone. They started in their sort of in what we call that coffin corner with the wind coming at them. Bay doing a great job moving the disc across the field to work through this zone, but it is going to take them a lot of passes in these windy conditions. It's going to be a challenge for them to work it up this field.
10 seconds on the clock. Fenig with the disc in her hands, finding a hole in the zone to Carnahan, up to Ward. Clock runs out. The turn happens. Vicky Chen a little bit too low. And that is the end of the first quarter. A lot of time in that point, but it is 2-2.
You talked earlier about
this game is very close, but a quarter break. Don't go anywhere because there's a lot to play for in the final.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplement shouldn't be. Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
The second quarter begins. Players taking the field. San Diego is going to be on offense to start this quarter. Only 2-2 in that first one.
Something that San Diego has been saying a lot this year is sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, but it's always us. And I think that's really what we saw happening in that first quarter. Even though they started down, by focusing on that us component, they were able to claw and complete and convert to even out this first quarter with that tight defense and executing on offense between Jones and Ali Melek to tie this game at the end. So it's almost like we haven't played a quarter yet. We get to start the game over.
Nissen. Margot Nissen. In the middle of the field, out too far from Danica Holland, intended for Weaver. A turn from San Diego to start. Han Chen, they worked a break up this direction before. McQuaid. Bobbling Goss, and then upfield for Miri Chang. Nissen to Weaver on the far side. Edging that one perfectly back into Abby Schultz. The score for Super Bloom.
Abby Schultz will be hitting the field with Team USA, the mixed roster for U24s this coming summer.
Logroño, Spain, in just about a month. It's going to be a really exciting tournament. Seeing the youth, although she is UC San Diego teammates with Margot Nissen. Margot Nissen has been part of Team France, both for U20 and U24s. She was part of that women's program from France who won a huge victory, one of the first losses for the Americans in years, and really exciting development internationally at the youth scene. So it's been super exciting to see what is coming next for the sport.
And thinking about the impact that she's having on the Super Bloom roster, Dina Ali Melek, Kayla Helton, Tori Gray, and Abby Schultz have the largest player impact on the team, which is measured as a combination of their offensive impact and their block rates. So, a player that is having an outsized impact on the Super Bloom roster, which we're seeing right there.
That's Abby Schultz. But now Bay is on offense. Robin Fenig getting it upfield to Macy Volbrecht. And a block by Peden on Jacqueline Nguyen.
That was a block that was well set up and almost baited there.
Julia Peden from London, Ontario, said that some people would be watching her play today and that it has been an opportunity to play in this professional space that isn't afforded to a lot of Canadian players. So she is really excited to be representing, as we see the throw going up from Kayla Helton to Tori Gray, not in the end zone, but in the hands of Gray, pivoting, the scuba floating, and it's Zettner who gets the score for Super Bloom, 2 in a row to start the second quarter.
Zettner, a USAU national champion, always putting on a high level of defensive pressure with any person she's guarding, has great intuition for when to play shutdown defense and when to help her teammates. And offensively, she understands how and when to strategically attack spaces and taking advantage of those fast break opportunities, which is really what we saw there. Zettner is one of the players to watch for this game for the Super Bloom.
And the third member of our broadcast team, Jenna Weiner, is down on the sideline listening to Coach Jonathan Goose Helton talking about San Diego's defensive prowess. Jenna, tell us what you're hearing.
Yeah, so in the quarter break, Coach Helton was talking to the Super Bloom team and really trying to remind them that this is a defensive first team and that they're going to take advantage of opportunities. So far, that's led to 2 straight goals in this quarter, 4 straight overall, and they're trying to make it 5 in a row here.
A drop from Fenig, getting them close and closer. Ellis to Bile. break again. Super Bloom. It's on a roll. I really wanted to do a flower pun there, but I couldn't think of one that worked quite well. So if you're in the chat, let us know what sort of flower puns we should be using. But really great work from Bile to get open off of that turn.
Super Bloom has now scored 5 in a row. They started this game down 0-2, and now they have scored 5 consecutively, which really shines, puts a spotlight on that the defensive prowess of Super Bloom has been a hallmark of this team. It is their calling card, the way they got to this championship game, and it is increasing, and it is the credit to their success.
Helton pulling, the wind picking up, gusting and flurrying, affecting those. That looked so close, but a great catch from Eliza Chang.
San Diego forcing middle, and that's been one of the strategic adjustments that they're making.
Chen sends it to the end zone, reeled in by Chris Weyenberg. The 5-point scoring drought has ended. Chen threw the last assist for Bay, but that was a while ago. 2 assists for her.
Han Chen is the heart of this team, a player that was asked to start the year on offense with Fenig hubbing that O-line, but by moving her and having her put up her throws with the D, although to be fair, this was an offensive point, but with a different collection of players, that skill, that versatility is demonstrating as the calm and poise that she uses to direct the field every time she's on makes an incredible difference.
That pull sits and floats inbound, but fighting a headwind. Helton picking up, going in the downwind direction. Up and too much for Pajunas. Looks like a foul, no contest. You can see Tori Gray giving the disc back to Midi Chang. Pugh. Upfield to McQuaid. Stepanitis and Pugh connecting right on the sideline. The inside backhand to Chen. Chen slices and too low. Intended for Goss. Jones starts off possession this time. Big throw downwind intended for Helton. Helton denied by Chen. Goss under the pressure from Tori Gray.
Goss and Gray having played each other in the Seattle area in high school, and so very used to playing each other's styles. And it is so fun when we get to see players who have long histories facing off against each other, getting to play together and showcase what how they've learned and grown here in the Western Ultimate League, especially in this finals game.
The observer rules that it was a foul, so Goss retains possession, leading upfield, intended for Chang. Chang gets it back. Mankoff went off the field last night, but is on the field today. A block from Helton. Han Chen and Kayla Helton blocking each other. What a matchup. You can hear the crowd chanting MVP because Kayla Helton won the Most Valuable Player award in the WUL. That was at the end of our third place game. Gray floats it up. Zettner dishing to Ishii and Helton. They're moving down the field. Helton in the handler space to Pajunas and Gray. spinning, lofting. And it is Julia Peden with the score for San Diego.
San Diego feels firmly in control of this game right now. Their foot is on the gas. There was a moment where Han Chen got that block against Helton, and there was the opportunity for the tides to turn, but the Falcons are not generating the consistency of their throws. There are too many throws that are low, that are like, being caught inches above the turf line. And San Diego is coming out with this intense defensive pressure, and they just look more poised offensively, distributing the disc and taking those shots, being able to use the wind like those sort of lofty throws that Gray was putting out that point, including for the goal.
We're seeing pretty intense defensive pressure from San Diego. Do you think that that is what is causing a little bit of a rushing from the Bayside, or is it just the pressure of the moment?
I think it's also the pressure of experience. San Diego has been in the finals of the WUL Championship 3 out of the 4 years that it has happened. Last year was the first year that San Diego didn't make the finals. And this is the first finals appearance for the Falcons ever. And so there are these nerves with Pajunas getting that block.
Pajunas is pumped up after that block. Iwamoto picks up, trying to get a receiver. Bile gets it. They're looking to bounce it back. Once they receive it, Rutland under pressure. Keep moving. Ellis and Elimelech going for the end zone. Bile gets it past the bidding win. Walter. And in the hands of Bile again. Jacqueline Wynn may have made a call here against Bile, or there may have been a timeout. I'm unclear what is happening. Timeout before the score being taken by the San Diego coaches. So not a score yet. What a reception from Meredith Bile. What defensive pressure from Jacqueline Wynn. 2 layouts in that possession.
There was a timeout called by respective teams.
So unsure exactly where the disc will come back in after this timeout, but timeout being taken by San Diego.
If we think about the road that they've taken to get here, San Diego, they finished second at the 2021 Winter Cup, which is the first time that the WL had sort of anything coming out of COVID, even though the league was founded in 2020. In 2022, they came in as the overall second seed. They win their semis against the Oregon Onyx, but they lose to the Tempest in finals. So again, 2022, they finished as the second team. 2023, happening in Seattle. They're finishing the regular season at 6-2. They're the first team out of their conference. And they had a league best point differential of +38. They're demolishing teams.
And back in play, Ellis and Jones. Ellis trying to pivot against the mark of Cardosa. Upfield and finds Schultz alone in the corner. The score, they had to do it twice, but San Diego extends their lead to 4.
Wrapping up the journey of how San Diego got here. In 2023, they again win their semis against Utah Wild. They play Tempest again in the finals. They again lose to Tempest. In 2024, they come out as the second team out of the Southwest behind the Bay Area Falcons with a regular season record of 4-2. Still a good regular season, but not as strong as some of their previous years. But then they lose to Colorado Alpenglow in the finals by 4. They play the Falcons and win the third place game. But, San Diego Superbloom has this history of being a team that has been crushing the regular season. They have had incredible point differential season over season, and then just a little bit underperforming. And so the big questions everyone has been asking is this the year? Can we do it differently this year? Can we punch our ticket and finish it? Right now, it's looking like yes.
Miscue between the Falcon handlers on who was going to pick up. Fenig retrieves it. Ultimately, now Weeby back to Fenig. And Pugh against this zone from Super Bloom. Vicky Chen and Melina Weeby trying not to get caught on the sideline. Pugh and Ward finding Maru. Doing a great job of using the horizontal space, finding Zulk, back to Fenig, around the cup. Ward doesn't get it. All the way across, finally to Pugh. Really slowing the momentum. It's frustrating as a thrower not to be able to gain yards. It takes patience. Fenig around. On the sideline, back to Fenig, moving. The San Diego players have changed. They're in a person offense. Fenig finding Weeby to Zulk. Playing against a person defense now. Ward under to Pugh. Looking in that space. It looks like a pick being called upfield.
Pugh, one of 3 players to be recently engaged on this Falcons roster, along with Nguyen and 15 Weyenberg.
And that is a goal by Zulk. All the way up the field. Patient offense. Filling Bay Area with confidence after they've struggled against this San Diego Super Bloom. Defensive intensity. This was Pugh's throw. The tipping toes of Alexi Zulk get that one in the end zone.
Zulk certainly has a nose for the end zone, and I think that there they really demonstrated their phenomenal field awareness to be, checking the point that they have stop rotation on the disc, because that is the point that something is considered a reception in Ultimate, and so is checking to make sure that her feet are both inside the end zone and inside the goal line. So you can see on that replay, she was looking at her feet, and as she's closing her hands to make sure she's establishing possession at the exact right moment, because it was a very small window of time that she had to hit.
Iwamoto being guarded by Volbrecht. Some line changes there as Volbrecht tries to get out of Iwamoto's way. Peden faking against Miri Chang. Upfield intended for Stamba. McQuaid makes sure it's not completed. The marking intensity really ratcheting up for the Falcons. Downfield for Stepanidis, trying to focus through the contact, and Gray gives it right back. Net gain for the Falcons. As Stepanidis takes an injury walking off after the field after that awkward collision with the turf. Not another person. 1.5 minutes on the clock.
This half has gone by so incredibly quickly. There have been very few calls. There's a lot of play happening, lots of points being scored.
Weaver coming onto the field. Looks like Eliza Chang replacing Stepanidis. Munson fakes, hits Goss. Inside, a missed throw. 2 players coming together. Kayla Helton and Stambaugh and McKinley McQuaid.
Look at how they're no cobbling. Oh, and a handshake.
Stamma was a track star in high school, and you know that closing speed certainly trying to be demonstrated here. I do think from that play there was, you know, while the throw was a little bit off, there was quite a lot of contact on that reception.
Yes, so the disc is going to remain in Falcons' hands, in this case, McKinley McQuaid, who hits former Stanford teammate Macy Volbrecht. And a block by Caitlin Weaver, one of the block's leaders. Jones, big throw towards the end zone. Weaver tries to get up, but too many Bay Area players surrounding her, not precise enough from Jones. Midi Chang upfield for McQuaid. McQuaid gets it again. Chang lays out, but Tori Gray gets there first. Big defensive plays in this point. Iwamoto leading for Jones, leaning into those goal tee passes, small windows. Jones, 18 seconds on the clock to Iwamoto. Thinking about retaining possession, Zettner, Iwamoto, 9 seconds on the clock. They'll have to complete one more throw to retain this possession. In the hands of Helton, the clock goes, but they get to play this out. Can they score? Iwamoto moving. Zettner now with the disc, giving and going for the upline, the switch from the handler defenders. Jones through, and it is Captain Lexa Stamba getting one more for Super Bloom after time expired. What a play.
San Diego looks like they are firing on all cylinders right now.
This was Jones hitting Stamba. And our coverage today has been brought to you with help. Discraft is the presenting sponsor of all broadcasts in the Western Ultimate League. And Friction Gloves are the official glove of the WUL. We wouldn't be able to bring you exciting plays without their support, so thank you very much. As San Diego Super Bloom is in the lead, heading to halftime, we're going to go down to the field with Jenna Weiner, who is with Coach Amy Slaybaugh.
Thanks, Katie. Here with Coach Amy. Coach, y'all went down 2-0, but it's been an 8-2 run since. What's helped spur the momentum in the second half of the first quarter and the second quarter?
It's always our defense. I mean, when our defense is humming and we are generating blocks, we give ourselves opportunities to score, and then we have fun scoring. So it's been good once we ramp that defensive energy up.
Speaking of the defense, I've been seeing force middle, your zone, just standard person matchups. What's the idea behind throwing the different matchups, just trying to get the Falcons uneasy? I mean, they've had short field turnovers, so it's clearly working.
Yeah, it is. It's to make sure that they don't get comfortable, really. And we know they're behind the disc are so smart. They're such experienced players in the backfield. So the more we can keep them uneasy and the more we can keep them on their toes and guessing, that's our job.
Any thoughts heading into the second half as y'all try and win your first championship?
Sorry, what was the question?
Any thoughts heading into the second half ahead of the
I know all the thoughts. Right now, it's still focused on every point. We want to win every point. We want to grind every point. We want to do it together as a team, and we're really excited for it.
Sounds good. Good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Back to the booth.
It was a great first half, but San Diego Super Bloom has doubled up the hometown Bay Area Falcons. More to come when we come back with the second half.
Fired up, I just jumped out of my seat.
Wow, what a beautiful grab.
I want you to hold me. Right with me.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplement has to be. Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
It is halftime in the finals of the Western Ultimate League between San Diego Superbloom and Bay Area Falcons. But during the break between games, at the end of the third place game, we gave out the 2025 season awards in the Western Ultimate League for the coaches and players to really exemplify what happened this season in the regular season. The coaches of the year went to Colorado Alpenglow, who had a perfect regular season, 6-0. The breakout player of the year went to Brittany Stetmeyer from the Arizona Sidewinders, who had an absolutely explosive season. Defensive player of the year celebrated by her teammate Sadie Jezierski with 16 season blocks in the regular season and making an impact for the Seattle Tempest. And the offensive player of the year was Ari Nelson from Colorado Alpenglow, back-to-back offensive player of the year, huge impact maker, almost tearing up there in front of their teammates. And the MVP presented by Karen Coe, one of the board members for the WUL, went to Kayla Helton. Kayla Helton won the most valuable player in 2022, 2023, was the runner-up last year to Abby Thorpe, and this year the crown is Helton's again. All smiles from the Team USA standout there with WUL board member Ali Steinfeld. It was a great celebration of the entire league. Thank you for joining us for this. But back in a moment, we'll have more finals action to see. Will it be the hometown Bay Area Falcons? Can they come back against San Diego Superbloom, who's up by 4? More to come in championship weekend. Championship weekend in the Western Ultimate League is presented by Discraft, the presenting sponsor of all broadcasts of the Western Ultimate League. Friction Gloves, they are the official glove of the WUL. Combat Candy, the Breakmark, the WUL's official apparel provider. And Combat Candy, the premier sponsor of the WUL. It's been an exciting first half, but a little bit lopsided in the favor of San Diego Super Bloom. The stats from the first half, Charlie, what are you seeing?
That D-line conversion, those are your break opportunities. The Falcons are 1 for 8. Whereas Super Bloom is 4 for 6. You know, that offensive efficiency, like, they won their semi because they significantly improved on both their red zone offensive efficiency and their overall offensive efficiency yesterday, and that's not what we're seeing today.
Well, we're going to see what kind of adjustments Bay Area Falcons can make. Jenna Weiner is joined on the sideline by Byron Liu.
Thanks, Kay. Coach Byron, a little bit of a tough first half for y'all. Good, strong start. How can you replicate that initial opening where y'all scored the first 2 points of the game to start the second half?
Yeah, I think we just have to be disciplined on offense. They're overloading resources onto that fourth side, looking at our first option, so we got to be okay going to 2 and 3 and moving across the field.
They've been throwing a few different defensive looks, and it's resulted in a few like backfield turns, one just above Robin. What's sort of the adjustment that y'all need to do to make sure that those mistakes don't happen at all, or as often, certainly?
Yeah, I think moving the ball early, moving decisively, making sure that as someone's looking at you, you pick a clear direction, and then the rest will solve itself.
Any other thoughts ahead of the second half as y'all try and win your first championship?
Wouldn't it be great for a comeback?
Sounds good. Stay tuned. Second half to come.
Wouldn't it be great for a comeback? We've seen actually big comebacks in this league. This first half, though, was filled with some highlights from these players, the blocks from San Diego Super Bloom in particular.
San Diego has had 7 blocks so far in this game. San Francisco has only had 2. This was a goal from San Francisco. As we think about this game, you know, we haven't had any goals or assists from Fennig yet, but Tori Gray for San Diego has 2 assists, 1 block. Jones and Ellis both also have 2 assists. Ellie Mellick has 2 goals. Schultz also has 2 goals. Helton has 2 blocks.
Really even contribution from the San Diego side, not one person running away with it, but they have been able to connect in the end zone. They haven't been perfect. There's been some throwaways and missed connections, but in the end zone, they have gotten there twice as many times as the Bay Area Falcons. As we end this replay with the throw to Weyenberg, and we are back in action. Bay Area started on offense, almost a block from the back of Helton. Missing and still staying in the possession of Bay. Eliza Pugh moving the mark of Ellis, throwing low again today. They've just been flirting with the edge of the turf. Fenig on the far side, guarded by Pajunas. Back up line. Up and over the top. Fenig, and it's a grab over Helton. Wiebe in the end zone. What a catch from Melina Wiebe. Look at this focus going up. Helton went straight up and behind. Wiebe had position, but the focus coming down with that one.
Wiebe has a league best 18.7% goal rate, which makes her an unmatched scoring threat in the league. She in her career, she has had 2 6-goal games. She is the only player in WUL history to do that twice. And it is because of the focus, the intentionality that she demonstrated here that she has been able to do that and put those kinds of career games together.
What a grab. What a way. You said that Fenig hadn't gotten on the board. That's her first assist so far this game. The matchup between she and Pajunas is really fascinating to watch, as San Diego now starting on offense. Iwamoto to Elimelech. Big throw goes up from Elimelech, intended for Weaver, but Han Chen is in that space, taking the angle away. Han Chen with another block.
Han Chen asked to do a hard thing to get the block and then pick up the disc and channel that calm and poise here coming in on the end zone.
Goss to Cardosa. Mankoff and Chen finding Goss upfield again, really churning as a cutter for this Falcons defensive line. Inside, all the way up to Mankoff. Leading pass. Iwamoto gets a hand on it, but it's Weyenberg. What physical play from both players. Looking at this throw, Mankoff leads. Iwamoto gets fingers. I think the catch goes to Weyenberg there, even though Iwamoto had a hand on it. So close.
We have the benefit of the replay to be able to look at these calls and make our opinions. And you know, there is no instant replay for these players on the field. And so there is this opportunity for them to talk it out. And it makes sense that, like, with spirit of the game, you can really see how intentional and respectful both of these players are when talking about what's going to happen. And we're using these observers to help, you know, guide the conversation, to provide their input, and sometimes to provide their ruling when asked by the players. And that is one of the things that differentiates Ultimate and makes it special.
Weyenberg is going to get this. They're treating it as like a foul contest as we're getting another look at it. Very close play. Han Chen upfield to Cardosa, dishes quickly to Chang, and back inside to Cardosa. The Bay
Cardosa ended the regular season with 2 goals, 4 assists, and 10 blocks. You know, was a nominee for her, you know, had just like had a game where she had 3 foot blocks, really known for the defense that she was demonstrating all season. But here in this postseason, both yesterday and today, Cardosa has had her impact offensively.
And that is what we were hearing from Coach Manisha Dariani. They're really working with these lines, trying to peak at this moment of the season. They talked about how they had played tight, how they hadn't played together until the game in Oregon where they had solidified their spot into championship weekend. They knew that they were hosting the weekend and wanted to be a part of it. And once they made sure that they were in, suddenly the weight was lifted from their shoulders and they were able to play free flowing ultimate together, and that's what they're doing here. But they were down by 4 as we see San Diego on offense. Weaver with the disc and Iwamoto. Flat marks from the Bay as Schiltz has the disc to Alimelek, and Schiltz flat mark. Carnahan on the mark, almost gets a foot on that one. Helton, guarded by Stepanitis. Good to see her back on the field. Schiltz getting free. Inside, through traffic. Jumping, it's Alimelek. Who else in the end zone?
3rd goal of the game for Alimelek. Alimelek, an incredibly decorated player, part of the Team USA mixed roster from 2024. Before this was the defensive player of the year, but has played 2/3 of her points on the O-line this year. You know, like how many more points would she have racked up so far this year if she had been playing more off, how many more blocks would she have racked up this year if she'd been playing more on defense? But it is allowing Alimelek to be able to show off her offensive capabilities.
And Schiltz with that high stall inside throw, putting it inbounds to give them a chance. San Diego still up by 3. 8 minutes in the 3rd. There's time to make a comeback, but having to start that engine, trying to get pieces back. But we've seen San Diego lose leads before.
It's only a 3-goal game right now. It feels like the separation is greater, but this is still a surmountable score. The Falcons are still in it.
Cardenas trying to get it to Fennig. Back to Ward instead. Inside to Fennig, guarded by Pajunas. Backhand from Fennig. Trying to get it to Zalk, but the disc turned over once you could see it hit the wind off the end of the bleachers. Not quite getting far enough. A foul on the throw called by Fennig. No contest from Pajunas. So this is going to come back to Fennig. It was really fascinating to see the wind there on that throw because you saw it on a line, and then once it got past the end of the stands, it almost turned over like you popped the top on a can to see that change.
Pajunas has been really effective on Fennig this game and really limiting her impact on the game. So keep an eye on that matchup.
Ward. Maru and Ward giving and going up line on the sideline, inside, floating to the far side, just like the other one. Zalk tipping, towing the line again. Awareness from Zalk. Foul called on the mark, letting us all breathe as Helton signals no contest. The pre-stalls. And now shooting back to where the disc started. Fennig over Pajunas. Ward not quite in the end zone yet. Lifting it for Pugh. Pugh to Zalk. They go the distance. Back within 2.
when you look at the stats leaders between these two teams over the 6 games they have played in the history of the WL, Lexi Zulk is one of the goal leaders for the Falcons with having scored 8 goals in those matchups. Who do you think earned that honor for San Diego? None other but Dina Elimelech with 8 goals. So both of those players leaving their impact on the field right now. San Francisco Bay Area having brought this game within 2, it does feel like the tide is starting to turn. That possession looks more clean. They looked more poised.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like the wind they're going downwind now, but I think we've seen more scores going in this upwind direction, trying to see if they can change the offensive efficiency. I feel like anytime they've run zone against San Diego, it's really played into San Diego's hands. But on person, these handlers, person defense, the handlers move so quickly. They know each other so well. It's really hard to stop their reset structure as we see Walter getting it upline to Ellis. Ellis putting it up, the disc floating underneath. Elimelech getting boxed out by Mankoff. Bile tries to make a second effort and Mankoff makes sure it's there. Midi Chang going to pick up. Han Chen thought about putting it deep. Munson. And block from Pajunas, intended for Goss. Goss is cut a little bit too horizontal, opening the door for Pajunas. Short field for this San Diego offensive possession. Back for Iwamoto and Ellis, the roommates working together. Walter to Bile. Elimelech to the far side, intended for Rutland, and too far from Elimelech.
That's a rare throwing turnover for Elimelech. It's an important opportunity as we have just over 4 minutes left in this third quarter for the Bay to make a change.
Timeout being called by Bay Area Falcons, recognizing that these break opportunities are not coming to them very often. And our sponsors for this game are Combat Candy, the premier sponsor of the Western Ultimate League, and Breakmark is the Western Ultimate League's official apparel provider.
When we think about how the Bay Area got here and their history with the league, in 2021 at the Winter Cup, they finished 4th. On the first championship weekend in San Diego in 2022, they didn't qualify for championship weekend. But in 2023, they did qualify for championship weekend for the first time, but they finished the regular season with a record of 4-4. They lose in semis and they take 3rd place, their highest previous finish. And then last year, again, they finished 4th. So their previous highest finish to this was in 2023, winning 3rd.
Back in action, Carnahan and Fenig on the field. Far side to Pugh. This is the offensive line for the Falcons trying to get this score. Maru dropped by Weeby. And a foul being called by Jones, causing the crowd to gasp.
The rules in Ultimate are if the disc has not left your hand, that disc is still a continuation of your body part, so any contact would be a foul.
Jones finds Ishii unguarded in the middle of the field. Now Hilton on the far side. Elimelech. Tight defense there. Yuichi trying to go through the space in the mark. It looks like a pick being called on Elimelech as Ward got run into. A really strange path to choose there, to run between the mark and the thrower.
And sometimes when you're trying to find space and get open, it can be like, okay, I need to take the most direct path possible, but it does create situations like this.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was Yu Ishii who ran with Pugh who collided with Ward, and now they're far away into the middle of the stack. So a little bit strange there as we're figuring out where players should reset to. I think that Ward called a pick, but you also could have argued a foul in that case because she was run into by another player. Elimelech to Helton. Wynn shutting down the lanes. Helton finding Iwamoto, who rolls.
It does look like they're having a conversation about up or down. You know, that's one of the first times that we're seeing the disc kind of die for San Diego in the ways that it really has been dying for the Falcons. And again, it's that, like, the wind pushing the disc to the sideline, not just an upwind, but really seeing some of that crosswind impact there.
Yeah, I think the disc touched the ground, but it looked like it was pretty firmly in Iwamoto's hand before that happened. Again, the players don't have the benefit of the replay.
And specifically the camera angles.
Iwamoto retains possession, starts off a layout attempt from Pugh. Ishii also rolling. Catching, laying out is Elimelech. As we near 2 minutes left on the clock, inside to Elimelech. Elimelech to Helton. Finally gets the job done for San Diego.
Helton, one of the most winningest players in the history of Ultimate. Kayla Helton has won just about everything there is to win. She's won World Games with Team USA. She has won the World Club Championships with Fury. She has won Club Nationals with Fury. She has won Grass Worlds, the country edition, with Team USA. She's won Beach Worlds with Team USA. But do you know what Kayla Helton hasn't ever won? She's never won the Western Ultimate League. It is the thing that Kayla Helton has left on her resume to prove that she is the most decorated player in the history of Ultimate.
Adding another one to her very prestigious trophy case. And it took a while, a timeout taken by Bay, but that was a hold by San Diego, taking a ton of time off the clock. 2 minutes as Bay is on offense now. They put out their O-line to try to score that break and then had to play tight defense. So a hybrid line here as it bounces off of Cardenas' hands. Losing focus after the extraordinary bid by Weaver. Weaver almost gets D'd by Greenwood. Schultz. Center to Weaver. Sideline awareness by Abby Schultz. Inside. Nissen puts it into space, and it's snagged for the score. It looks a bit confusing. My guess is honestly that a timeout was called. Given that the disc is coming back in that space, it's hard to hear the whistles over the crowd, honestly. The crowd is really starting to get into it with the drums and the noisemakers, but it is a timeout by San Diego before the throw.
It makes sense to call the timeout there where, you know, your offense is moving, but you do want to make sure you convert on that opportunity. And I think that strategically calling a timeout every quarter, and since we're nearing the end of the third quarter, you can pace them out, make sure you're giving your players a break and the opportunity to reset and set the tone as you're coming out for this next possession.
You can see Coach Manisha Dariani talking with this line about how they're going to try to stop San Diego Super Bloom.
Thinking about the San Diego coaching staff, some noteworthy pieces of information. Coach Goose Helton will be flying to Italy tonight to coach a beach team out there. They are flying him out for his coaching prowess. And Coach Amy is coaching both Flipside and Wildfire this year to help develop the San Diego club scene and support those players kind of moving into the Super Bloom franchise.
That is in line what they said, where their approach for Super Bloom this season was to work on bringing the bottom up. Instead of strategy, they have been working on individual pieces. No contest from McQuaid. Alice got possession of that and then lost it after the contact from McKinley. The blade to Elimelech over the top of the defenders. San Diego breaks back. 11-7. Elimelech with her fourth by my count, but it seems like she just lives in the end zone at this point.
Elimelech has been nominated for WUL Player Awards every year that she has played. And her teammates say that she's a game-changing player on both offense and defense. And we're absolutely seeing that contribution on the field right now. Elimelech has so much to give.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 goals and 1 assist so far this game. 1 minute and 14 seconds on the clock. Bay running out of time to make a comeback. Big pull up win from Tori Gray. They have had really pretty long throws today. Fenig facing a wall of defenders. Fenig and Ward working together. Maru looks inside to Pugh. Pugh's movement changed the shape of the defense. Gets it from Weeby upfield to Win. Win and Pugh. Win guarded by Peden, just giving and going. Pugh every other, and then Weeby in the end zone. Gets free again. A clean hold for Bay. 28 seconds still to play in this quarter.
That was the first time that San Diego had had a 4-point goal differential in the second half. Bay closing it just to 3, which is where 2 or 3 is where we've spent most of this game. Bay really needing to focus on themselves and their controllables for this second half in this moment.
That's one of the things we hear coaches say, like wanting to play our game, like being with ourselves, but it's such an important thing for being in the moment. Sometimes we can get too far ahead of ourselves as players or too far behind or thinking about the championship or anything else. We can't actually control that. You can only control where you are in this moment. And we've seen San Diego playing a little bit more in the moment than Bay has. They had one of the games of the season last night. And they're going to see if they can come back again on the back of their defense. Munson marking Iwamoto. Iwamoto fakes that big huck. And the block from Munson.
You were talking about their defensive pressure, and they had to respond.
They have some of the scariest marks. That means that a timeout being called. The clock has expired, so I believe the timeout was right before the clock. We'll see if any time comes back on. It looks like 1 second on the clock. What a block from Molly Munson.
So you cannot call a timeout during the possession after time has expired. And so that was really well played and very specific timing that the Bay Area coaches got the timeout in before the time expired so that it was still within regulation time.
But that is their second timeout of the half. They will have none in the fourth quarter. The last time that they called one, they put the offensive line on and the O-line was not able to convert. We'll see if they can do it again as Robin Fennig is standing over the disc, trying to get that done.
It is their second timeout, you're correct, but they need to be scoring points. And these end of quarter points are that opportunity to, again, steal points. And they need to close this gap. Ending this quarter down by 2 looks a lot better than ending it down by 3.
Fennig, we hear that clock again because they'd added 4 seconds. This possession is Bay's. Ward being marked by Weaver. Fennig marked by Pajunas. Having to work with the handler set, not connecting, gets the upline. Fennig thinks about going deep. Faking the block by Kelly Iwamoto. Stops Bay Area's chances in the third quarter. They'll have to do it in the fourth with no timeouts left. The poach block, the layout from Kelly Iwamoto, the celebration from Helton. Ishii makes sure. What an end of possession play. More to come, a fourth quarter to determine the winner of championship weekend. Will title a new champion, but who will it be? Stay tuned for more.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplement is to be. Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
Fourth quarter, everything to play for. Bay Area is going to have to start on defense. Will they mount a comeback? They're down by 3, or will it finally be San Diego Super Bloom's time in the sun? Morgan Greenwood set to pull. Nerves. Silence from the crowd. Everyone focused on the field. Iwamoto, who just got that huge block to end the third quarter, fields it to Jones, gets it back. Weaver with the disc. They're good at going wide and then back inside. Helton. Ellis in the middle. Jones. The sideline is loud and yelling directions at the Bay Area defenders. Weaver upfield. Helton up, leading Schultz. Schultz not on the angle that Helton expected. A turnover from Super Bloom.
It's really felt like whenever the Bay is starting to get momentum, San Diego makes a play on defense. And so are we going to see that again here?
Han Chen upfield from Midi Chang. Inside the middle, Greenwood dishing to Chen. Big throw going up towards the end zone. Chang in pursuit. Iwamoto overrunning it. That one ended up out of bounds. Bay Area hasn't been very efficient with their deep throws. Not connecting on their hucks all in the regular season. They did slightly better last night, but again being plagued, lured to throwing into the deep space and turning the disc over.
It does give them the advantage of field position, so San Diego has to work it the length of the field now.
Jones tries to thread the needle to Iwamoto. Chang and Munson. Greenwood. Low throw to Munson. Having to slide on her knees to get that one. Getting it, looking to the opposite side. No connection there. Chen. Stepanidis now in the backfield. Chen on the inside. Up and over the top. It's Chang! Creating space in the end zone and finding her teammate.
Falcons with the break. Falcons showing that they can maintain that offensive possession to be able to close out.
That would be great for whichever respective.
Taking a look at that replay, it's a fun scoober to space to Chang. And the celebration, the energy that the Falcons have. You can hear the drum going, trying to ramp up this crowd, but there is still a little bit of trepidation of like, okay, like it feels a little bit forced. It's not quite natural yet. And so this is the opportunity for, the Falcons to make a spectacular defensive play, to believe in themselves. And I think that may be really what's missing here is like, where's the swagger? Where's the confidence? Where's the trust that we have everything we need as a team to make this play to win this game?
Fenig crossing over to this D line. Abrams and Nissen. Upfield to Schultz. Volbrecht on the mark of Schultz. They're forcing backhand this time. And a drop by Mars Bow. They had it a little bit tight into the chest. And Fenig picking up. Upfield. Looking for a reset. Finding Mankoff. Volbrecht. Fakes. Cardosa, Fenig, and Mankoff working together. Helton in the middle of the space. Nissen gets a block. Mankoff puts it too high for Vicky Chen. Cardosa on the mark against Ellis. Nissen to Weaver. Back to Nissen. Upfield in the middle, connecting with Schultz. Schultz. Bow gets that one. Abrams to Falcons player. Cardosa and Fenig colliding.
Both seeing an opportunity. It's the intention behind those bids that the Falcons needs. They know that with only just under 8 minutes left in the game, that their time is ticking away and they need to be making plays to close this 2-point gap. The game is not moving fast enough for them to close this gap without generating blocks.
Helton putting one deep. Tries to get it to Bow. Goss going the other direction. Nice. Chen snags it. There's a conservation of greatness there. Unsure what happened. It looked like there was a call made and then maybe retracted. Unclear, but I believe it's San Diego's disc here. Bay losing another break opportunity as Helton picks up to Weaver. Weaver has Schultz going deep. Doesn't put it against the mark of Cardosa.
Players are confused about why play suddenly stopped.
I think that Weaver and Cardosa were clear that it was a foul, no contest. It could have been a contact call, which doesn't stop the thing. But Abrams gets it on the far side, quickly pivoting upfield to Nissen. Nissen lefty floating, and it's a block from Volbrecht. Finding Cardosa, Weaver close to that one, inside to Fennig. Fennig has Mankoff going deep on the far side, finding Goss, slides to her knees, back to Fennig. Far side, Helton gets a hand on it, but Mankoff still gets it. Mankoff misses.
I think the energy from Mankoff of having Helton coming in is impacting the execution after.
We've seen several throwing errors from this side of the field. They're just not getting it into the end zone after so much work. It looks like a timeout being taken by San Diego.
While it's San Diego that called this timeout, I actually think it's the Falcons that benefit the most from this timeout, because San Diego still has the edge in this game, and this is an opportunity for the Bay Area coaching staff to bring their team together and help ground them in their execution.
Seeing what line is going to come out for the Bay Area Falcons. Taking advantage of this, but our coverage is brought to you by Combat Candy, the premier sponsor of the Western Ultimate League. And Breakmark, the official apparel provider. Our jersey sponsor, Breakmark, making everyone out on the field look great. We're still going to see if these players, the Falcons wearing their home darks today on Sunday in this championship game.
Before this game, they were playing basketball against each other in the gym as part of their warm-up. And can they bring that energy, that fun, silly, togetherness into this moment?
Ellis gets it off the line to Weaver, finding Jones. A full line change not working out for San Diego there as the block, or the throw was too far behind Weaver. Stepanidis to Chang. Meaty and Eliza working together. Meaty Chang to Han Chen. It's a break. Finally, what? A point. San Diego took the timeout to try to reset, and it backfired against them because the fresh defenders from the Falcons really capitalized in that moment.
I do believe that is exactly what I said when the timeout happened.
You did. You predicted it. I must give you your flowers, Charlie Mercer, because you knew what was happening. Those momentum shifts, the energy is so important. And you talked about the basketball warm-up. This is a team, I think, that plays better when they are having fun. And they haven't looked like they're having fun for most of that game. But that break did seem a little bit more like that slightly goofy energy that really has fueled the Falcons when they're playing well. Big pull going up the other direction.
And this is the first time that we have been within 1 in this game since San Diego was up 3-2.
It's taken a while, but both points in this fourth quarter have been breaks for the Bay Area. Almost 8 minutes it took them to score those two. San Diego yet to score as Helton on the field again. Alice. Elimelech. McQuaid guarding Elimelech. Now Iwamoto upfield. And Ellis. They're swinging back and forth, but there's no upfield continuation after the handler reset. High stall for the middle of the field. Neither one really gets it. Tori Gray had a shot at it, but didn't realize Han Chen is going to pick up a great opportunity. If they can get this, they tie the game. Chen to Greenwood. Greenwood unleashes. It's too far. That is actually going to come back very far. It was too excited. I got excited as well, but that one's gonna go out of bounds and come back. You can see the observer, Jana Hammaker there, Jonna Hammaker.
It almost seems like the Falcons' D-line has been more efficient on offense than the Falcons' O-line. And so the fact that this is sort of a D-line out there is to their advantage. Elimelech trying to find an upfield outlet. Big throw going up, another one. Tori Gray in the area, jumping in bounds, not in, signaled by the observer, but that one will count. Helton gets it. I feel like San Diego escaped one with the throw from Greenwood not being able to connect with Chang. Helton on the board again. Helton has had just an incredible performance this year. She's had no receiving errors this year, notching over 1,100 receiving yards. She's one of 3 players in the league to finish top 5 on her team in goals, assists, blocks, throwing yards, and receiving yards. An opponent said that she has just reached another level this year.
I played against Kayla in college, and I've always been admiring of her constant drive to improve, to learn more about the game, to better herself and her teammates. She has invested so much time and so much into youth, running youth camps. She is coaching. She's coaching at all levels. She is a very impressive player to watch, and she's so quiet and humble when you talk to her in person, but she is loud and makes a statement on the field. We're going to see what Bay Area can do. Stall count rising. Inside, Wynn gets it upfield, dishing. It's Cardenas. Cardenas leading Fennig in the deep space. A dish to Cardenas. Looks like a pick as all of those players tried to cram into the small space.
Traffic jam, beep, beep.
2 minutes on the clock. It's a 2-point game. Bay is trying to score quickly and efficiently here. And it's Ward is calling a foul. Ishii with the layout.
Please make space for players. Thank you.
Looking at that one, it does look like Ward had her hands on that one before Ishii came through.
And from the replay, it does look like Ishii is touching all discs. So I think that, like, from her perspective, she's like, well, I didn't touch your hands, I touched the disc. But Ward's argument is I had stopped rotation on the disc when you made contact, which is the premise for the foul being called. And this is one of those times where I understand that, like, the foul contest, send it back, redo system and ultimate, because without the replay, it can feel too close to call.
Observers rule, no foul, so it is a turnover and San Diego's disc. Jones puts one deep. Fennig guarding Gray. both players telling them to be quiet. I think that Fennig had position there, but no call. I'm just seeing a lot of hand waving. Unsure if that is gesticulating as they talk or actually a no call. There we go, great. Retracting that. Fennig gonna pick up turnovers from both sides. But another break opportunity for the Bay. 1.5 minutes on the clock. Zalk around for Ward. In the middle for Cardenas. Win. Sliding with the knees is Maru, the captain. A pick. Again, in that end zone space, everyone trying to get to the same place at the same time. Maru up and over the top. It's a pile. Tori Gray grabs it. And now it's clock management. 1 minute on the clock. Jones trying to find an outlet, finds Peden. The marking from both teams working so hard to stop their momentum. A foul called by Peden. I saw Pugh talking about it.
Peden really brings a calm, consistent presence to every line that she's on. You know, she steps up when it's needed to make big plays, and I think that that's what we're seeing here. Of like, hey, like what's happening?
Yeah, looking at this again, unsure if it's a foul or a stall, but you're seeing the players kind of come together. Not a lot, maybe a disc space based on that original discussion.
But with marking violations, if you call some sort of marking violation and the marker doesn't drop the stall count, it is a violation that does stop play to make sure the stall count is coming back in correctly.
Weaver in the middle of the field for San Diego. Ishii finds Zettner. Zettner, big throw to the end zone. Pajunas underneath it, not in the end zone. Looking to get it. Tori Gray gets the reset. Up and over the top, but a block. "11 seconds on the clock. Win with the block.
Bay Area would need to score in 10 seconds and somehow gain possession of the disc back to be able to have a chance to tie the game.
Well, Fennig tries to put it there. Zettner bats it away harmlessly. The clock looking like it will decide this one. Jones holds it, hammers. It doesn't matter, it's caught, but it is the win finally for San Diego Super Bloom.
Congratulations to both teams. Congratulations to all the teams who made it to championship weekend, and thank you all so much for coming out and celebrating women in sports with us.
San Diego has finally, they have their moment. They have done it after years of regular season, like phenomenal performances and coming up short in the postseason. They are the WUL champions in this year, and they did it at home for the Bay Area Falcons.
They have broken the streak. Seattle Tempest won the first championship in 2022. Tempest won at home in 23. Colorado Alpenglow won at home in 24. But this year, San Diego Super Bloom is your 2025 Western Ultimate League champions.
And you know what's special about that 2022 victory or loss for San Diego is that San Diego lost at home for them. And so they have already had the experience of losing in the finals at home, and they delivered on that to the Bay Area Falcons. It is a full circle moment that they get to relish this very special opportunity. And Kayla Helton gets to add another notch to her list of being one of the most winningest players in all of Ultimate Frisbee history.
They have to feel so proud of themselves. You can see Coach Amy Slaybaugh hugging every single player, talking with her before the tournament started, talking about how she could literally talk about every single player, how much she loved them and how invested she is in the growth of them as both people and players, really working to build the individual skills of these players. And from top to bottom today, they really worked to get blocks, to punch the disc into the end zone, and they, as a full team, managed to do that, as we see Bay Area devastated, finally leaving their team huddle to high-five the other teams.
San Diego with 6 different players on variations of Team USA rosters right now between grass and beach and U24s. And it is that investment in the skill development that has created that growth and opportunity for these players. This investment, like this is the culmination of years of work, of those skill pods that are being run on weeknights with small groups of players. It is that coming to fruition right now. This is that moment, all of those years of work.
Those extra little moments making a big difference.
A big thank you to the fans and staff and everyone who made today.
Seeing them celebrate.
We appreciate you.
When Kayla and Goose Helton first moved down to San Diego from the Bay Area a number of years ago, one of the things that they said is, we want, like everyone was like, why would you move from the Bay Area? It's a hotbed of Ultimate. There's so much opportunity here. Like, what's happening in San Diego? And they said, we really like San Diego. We are committed to investing in this community. And they have done just that.
And to hear about the full experience of what it's like to be down on the field, Jenna Weiner is with standout Kelly Iwamoto.
Thanks. I'm here with Kelly Iwamoto. Kelly, y'all won the title. You've been on this team since the beginning. How's it feel?
Amazing. Yeah. It's felt like every single year we're just clawing at it and we just keep coming up short. So this was like a nice bow to put on a saga of years. Yeah.
Y'all had a close game with Seattle yesterday, a close game in the end here with the Falcons. What made the difference? Those small moments. I mean, your layout block to save the end of quarter possession was pretty big in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we've really been pushing this year to not feed inwards but feed outwards. So we're not relying on all of our players to do too many big things. It's like we are playing for each other. And I think putting that energy outwards really helps with the nerves. And I feel like in those tight moments we come together and we're saying, if it can't be me, it can always be you. And just relying on each other like that has really made a big difference.
Any specific shout-outs you want to offer?
Well, first I wanted to shout out our board, who does so much for the Super Bloom. They are behind the scenes. You don't get to see their faces, but they are working tirelessly so that we can be out here doing our thing. So huge shout out to the board. And then I want to shout out all the players that you don't know their names to. They are working so hard pushing us at practice. They're grinding out here and they don't get their name shout out, but they are really what bringing us all together, and they earned us this championship.
Sounds good. Go enjoy the celebration, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Iwamoto, one of the captains of this San Diego Super Bloom team, has been on the team since its inception. And she is also the playmaker from the Discraft play of the game. This was a huge momentum shift. Reading the play and laying out as a block. Time had run out. It was a comeback opportunity for the Bay Area Falcons that Iwamoto completely denied. Elation for Super Bloom.
And it was so clean. There was no contact, like the visual awareness to generate that block. Such great work by Iwamoto.
As we get ready to present the trophy and recap a wonderful weekend, we're going to take a quick break, but the raising of the trophy to come.
Your 2025 league champions, the San Diego Super Bloom. Come collect your goods. Come on, babies.
I love that Meredith Bile ran in there first thing to get her hands on that trophy. Well deserved from the entire San Diego team. Touching the hardware that has been so out of their reach until this moment. 4 years in the making. What a great moment for them. The number ones come up as they take pictures. They're going to get those champion jerseys. Right there, you'll see them walking around with this. But it wasn't here at the end. It was on the field that they earned this championship.
It was play after play over the course of this game. We had such outstanding celebrations. The game started off in favor of the Falcons, jetting out to a 2-0 lead. But then, first goal of the game scored by Ellie Mellick, and that was the beginning of a 5-0 run for San Diego, as Ellie Mellick notched both of the first 2 goals from Jones.
And then it was off to the races, really. Their defense got their groove going, and they were able to get blocks. Bay Area Falcons had so many amazing plays at WUL, but just came up a few too many throwing errors, especially in the away direction. They tried to have that, but it was this full San Diego team. The marking especially was frustrating for this Falcons side. A weekend of really great ultimate here at Championship Weekend in the Western Ultimate League. And there they are, your newly minted champions, San Diego Super Bloom.
That moment is so special. It's absolutely undescribable what it's like to hold that trophy after working so hard for it. There's so much fulfillment and joy in this time together, especially when it comes after so much work, years of effort to get to this point. All of those different college pictures being taken of players who've played together in different iterations. You can really see the pride and the joy in this moment for San Diego.
And you love seeing it. The youth also for San Diego really showing up in their defensive things. We talk about their depth more, but this trio is one for the record books. They won a national title, and now they are WUL champions as well. And hopefully we'll continue to see this as we see the coaching core come together. There in the middle, somebody we haven't talked about this weekend is Shar Stute. She's been a founder of San Diego Ultimate and coached most of these players, played on Safari, the club team out of San Diego for years, just won this past year a Goldtimate, not even this past year, a month ago, the Goldtimate national title, so still very heavily involved in the community and so proud of all of the players that are here. Thank you to everyone who contributed to make this weekend possible. It was plays all over the board. San Diego Superbloom taking it, but Bay Area Falcons, Seattle Tempest, and Colorado Alpenglow all made plays this weekend. The season coming to fruition at the exact moment. Thank you for joining us. I am Katie Killebrew, joined by Charlie Mercer, down on the field with Jenna Weiner. Thank you for joining us, and so long.